Welcome everyone to this week's podcast. This is the podcast for the week from the 28th of June till the 4th of July. And Deni and I, welcome Deni.
Hi everyone.
Are going to be exploring the energies for, I think, well, from my perspective anyway, the energies for this week and moving into July. And I think, Deni, you're going to bring some information in around the month of July itself. So I'm going to start this week with my card, which is from one of the decks that I normally use, actually, the Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot, and it's the Sea Sprite. And it's a beautiful card, actually. Love the colors in this, the blues and the purples, but it feels as if this card represents, to me anyway, the new energies that are coming in for July. It inspires you to look for inspiration everywhere and to awaken your creativity. And it kind of shows you that by opening up to the unexpected and the unusual, you can find new ways to work creatively. And there's a lot, I feel, of creative energy coming in for July, particularly as I go through what I'm going to bring in today around the numerology, but also from, I think, the Akasha and messages as well in that respect too. So, this really brings our attention to the fact that you are creative, even if you don't consider yourself to be. I know this is something, Deni, that you're passionate about teaching people through the work that you do with soul painting and your partner Dan in that respect. And to me, this card seems to be showing you that it's simply that your creativity has been stifled or suppressed in some way and for some reason. And so you're being shown to reconnect to that part of yourself because that's craving an outlet, particularly this week and as we move into July. So being creative isn't just about painting. You can be creative in lots of different ways, and you can bring creativity literally into everything that you do. So it's really just about exploring different ways in which you want to work with your own creativity. So as we go into the numbers this week, I think this is going to make a little bit more sense, or it's going to show how that card is actually supporting everyone this week as we dive into the numerology, particularly for this week, which is the 26th week of the year. So on Thursday, we actually hit the exact midpoint of the year on the 1st of July. I think literally on the 1st of July at 12 p.m., we're in halfway between the first half of the year and the second half of the year. And that is, of course, a great time for kind of reassessing where you're at and considering whether you need to take different action moving forwards or change anything, or are you still going through the same patterns? It's really a time of reassessment. But of course, we're working with the 5 energy of this year, which is constantly really weaving its way through your experiences. And this is all about themes of change, unexpected developments, being stretched beyond your own self-imposed limitations, and they're all part of that energy. But it's also, that 5 energy, about resourcefulness. It's about finding new ways of doing things so that you don't keep going round in circles. So the midpoint of the year, I feel, really supports you to open up to new and different ways of doing things so that you don't remain stuck. So as we move into week 26, you're really working here with the 8 archetype. And 8 represents all forms of power and brings you into really a deeper awareness of your own personal power. So I want to break that down a little bit with the numbers that we're working with this week. So the 2 energy of 26 really brings your focus to how you can work in co-creation with other people, how you can take your ideas and inspirations to other people and weave some magic together. So you know, it's about showing you that you might be able to achieve much more by sharing what you want to create with other people than if you try and do it on your own. So looking at having conversations with people that can inspire you and help you move in a different direction. There's so much power in the conversations that you're having at this time with like-minded people. So thinking in terms of cooperation and co-creation and co-founding, those are kind of the energies that the 2 is bringing in for this week. And then the 6 energy of the week 26 brings your awareness to how you can resolve something. It allows you to really deepen your understanding, that you develop mastery over something by pushing against the edges of your comfort zone. So pushing yourself past your own limitations, learning from your mistakes. It supports you really to have real life experiences, to grow and evolve, to dive into something new. So it's all about just launch and learn, that kind of energy. Just jump in and do it and push yourself past your limitations. Just go for it and see what happens. 2 also represents responsibility and accountability and caring for others. It's where we, you know, we really step into our awareness of other people and how we care about them. So home and family are also themes that that archetype supports, you know, for you to explore more deeply. So that may be surfacing, I think, a little bit this week as well. And then the 8 energy of this final week in June brings in that theme of power that I mentioned. So you're going to really be supported through that energy to step into your power more consciously, or you may even be guided to explore what keeps you from stopping yourself from showing up in a powerful way in the world. So you may be asked to look at power also in your physical experience, changing how you direct your power, looking at, you know, because we're in this massive time at the moment of shifting our awareness of how we show up in the world, where our power comes from, what our intention is behind our actions. So we're shifting into heart-based power. And for so long, money and power have been so intrinsically interwoven within our psyche, within our patriarchal way of working, that we haven't really been able to discern the difference between them at all. Now we're being asked to pull that apart for ourselves. And that's why a lot of people are experiencing changes or shifts within their relationship with money, and they're being asked to look at their relationship with money in a different way. But as we work more with heart-based power, what we actually really know is that it has nothing to do with money. You know, our heart-based power has absolutely nothing to do with money in physical terms. So we're really being asked to pull that apart and look at what that means for us, particularly as this new energy comes in this week. So you'll also find, I think, with that energy that you may be guided to think a little bit more consciously about your relationship with the earth, with the planet, because this is also to do with power, has a theme of power running through it, and how the earth is often exploited through the misuse of power, and also how your own indifference to that may be showing up for you at the moment. Do you need to pay more attention to that? Do you need to take action in some way around that? And that doesn't mean, you know, you have to go and join Greenpeace and, you know, get on a boat and save the planet in that way. What can you do personally to work with that? What's within your power to change and shift so that you can align more fully to looking after the earth, after the planet. So, you know, you may be called to stand up in a new and different way around that, to really feel into that for yourself and see what it is, what's calling you in a way to work with that. This archetype of the 8 also represents greed and manipulation. So it's going to be showing up in some way in the world around you. You may become more aware of it, more aware of where that power is being misused in the world as a whole, but also within your own experience as well. So, you know, lots of themes there to be working with. And on Thursday, of course, we move into the new energy as we start July. And that brings the 3 archetype for that month. So that's going to heighten your awareness of how you communicate with others, or how you struggle to communicate with other people. Communication will be a big theme that weaves its way through the next 4 weeks or so as we move through July. But that energy, that 3 energy, is also about joy and laughter and fun. So it does feel a little lighter than the last 2 months have been energetically. It's also a very creative energy. And when you combine that 3 with the 5 energy of the year, it's going to bring some extremely creative energy to work with. So as you enter the month of July, you're going to be drawn to notice the power of your own words, the power of communication, and also, I would say, the power of other people's words. So words are going to hold a lot of weight that month, this month for you. So combining communication and creativity always brings new ways of showing up in the world, in exciting ways. And it's likely that this month will play a really big part in determining the new direction that you want to take personally for the rest of the year. And that will, of course, influence how we then move forwards as a collective. So whatever we're working with at the personal level, that's going to, you know, have a knock-on effect or influence the collective in some way. So, you know, some beautiful themes, some big things. I'm going to be really interested to see what you bring in as well, Deni, around the energies of July and how you're seeing those influences. But just to finish up, I want to bring through the message that came through from the Akasha this morning. And this was really quite a short message, but it seemed beautifully aligned with the information that I've just been sharing with you there. But it has a really nice message to it. So the message that I got was, it is time to lighten up. It's time to explore inner growth through joy and laughter. And yes, you are still evolving. Yes, you are still healing, but you can experience this through joy and happiness. You can be in the process of healing your heart and still experience love. You can release patterns of self-doubt and self-criticism and still hold empathy and compassion for yourself. You can evolve whilst holding a state of joy. So seek out the light in your experiences and know that you are still supported to heal. So that's me for today, and I hope that that message lands for you and anchors into your own hearts as you hear that. But I'm really excited to hear what you've got to share with us today, Deni.
Thanks, Fee. I love that. I mean, joy, the word joy has been coming up for me a lot. So that really resonates. I bought this necklace that I've got around my neck. God, it would have been 25 years ago. And I was called to find it and to polish it up and to start wearing it. And on it is the saying, it's a Rumi saying, the soul is here for its own joy. and that I maybe found it, I think Tuesday.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
that's exactly what I've been feeling, is that there's so much around joy at the moment, so much around following your joy, and that being um, a really important thing to do, as opposed to, I mean, as important as anything that you do, that joyful state is actually what we're all called to bring in more into everything that we do, to help what's going on with the world and the earth and power and money. The joyful state seems to be a solution. That's what's been coming through for me for the last week. But now I'll go into my reading, and I'm looking at July. So I looked just generally at the month of July, just some of the things that are coming up theme-wise, and then also the first week in July. I chose a card from my usual deck, the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, and it is the Hunter. Actually, I've misplaced the card and I've been trying to find it, but it's the Hunter, and which is such a perfect card for July and how I'm seeing it. And what came to mind for me when I looked at that Hunter card was Artemis. So I'm going to call July the month to call in the goddess Artemis, the Greek goddess. She's the goddess of the moon, and she's a warrior. And there is this sense of fighting. I'm going to use the word fighting this month, from a heart-based place. So some questions to ask at the beginning of the month around this maybe energy around fighting is, what is it that you're really fighting for? Making sure that what you're fighting for is worth it. Also, what is the outcome you are seeking this month? There is this beautiful song that came to mind. It's called Beautiful War by the Kings of Leon. The reason why I bring up this beautiful war is that July for me is all about Mars and Venus. At about mid-month, they come into exact conjunction with each other. And this only happens once every couple of years. So it's a big moment. That's the feminine and masculine, Mars is the god of war. Venus is the goddess of love. So these two coming together is such a beautiful and big thing. But before they come together, they are both going to interact in a T-square with the Saturn and Uranus square that's happening all year that we've spoken about. So first of all, Mars, actually we enter the month with Mars coming into a T-square with that dynamic. So that dynamic around the rule maker and the rule breaker. So the struggle between the way things have always been and bringing in new and evolving ways. Mars is going to come into the conversation. And Mars is, like I said, the god of war, but there's more to Mars than just that. He's really a fiery action energy, getting things going, initiating the beginnings. So I feel that when he's coming into the picture with that square, that it's a little bit around shaking up what you're really fighting for. There's a fighting energy here, but what are we fighting for? Like I said before, with that hunter, also that sort of energy. Mars is there shaking up that place of purpose, the reason why, the reason behind. And then Venus goes into a T-square with the Saturn and Uranus place. So that's it's like, first of all, Mars shakes it up, and then Venus comes along with this love into the equation. But then it's like uh, with the square of those two places, it's like what are we fighting for that we love, that we want to expand into a love-filled place. So I love this, the dynamic of this Mars and Venus this whole month, and this balance that needs to be found. But it feels like the balance isn't going to be found yet. There's going to be a shakeup. It's interesting because when I look at where everything's sitting, they're all in they're all sitting in fixed signs. So the fixed signs are the ones that are the most difficult to move. We've got Uranus in Taurus, we've got Saturn in Aquarius, and we've got Mars and Venus. They'll be in Leo. So each of those signs are the fixed signs. Which is a really interesting place, but it feels like that's the foundational. The fixed is the earth. They're not earth. They're all they're all different elements, but it's the harder to shift place. So it feels like it's almost an earthquake at our core in these places. And because also it's Mars and Venus, this could affect our relationships, both externally and our relationship with where that balance of masculine, feminine, doing, being, things outside of us, things internal, emotion, head, all of those things are going to, there's going to feel like a tussle between the two, finding their own balance within. So yes, that's first of all the T-squares that shake things up, and then you've got the conjunction that happens mid-month, which is could be a really beautiful, love-filled time when they come together. It feels like there will be some balance found in whatever's got stirred up at the beginning of the month. We're actually, for most of the month, we're still in Cancer. It's the watery, emotional depths of Cancer. But then we will be moving into Leo, and Venus and Mars will be in Leo for most of July. Leo is, he's the lion. So there is this, we go from the Cancer being this mothering family, softer energy of water into the fire sign of Leo. And Leo is this charismatic, creative, childlike, confident character. So it's that place in us is going to be fired up. So we may be wanting to, there is also a big creative energy around Leo. So I love what you were saying before, Fee, about that creative place, because I think that's going to really start coming alive as we have these planets entering entering Leo, and then we get the sun entering Leo as well. By the end of the month, Virgo, Venus will move into Virgo. So then she's going to go into her home. She loves Virgo. That's where she is very comfortable. Taurus and Virgo, she rules. But Mars is in Leo for most of the month, and Leo is as a fire sign. So Mars feels very comfortable there. So it feels like there is a sense that Mars will take the center stage first, and then by the end of the month, Venus will come in, take the center stage at the end of the month. And that certainly is the way it seems to be going. Mars first, and then Venus following, and that love place really rounding things out. So we might find things that stir us up, and then Venus comes in with the love element to really amplify those places, whatever it is for you individually that you find, whether that is more of an internal place or whether it is a relationship place. I think we can probably see lots shaking up in relationship this month. And certainly by the end of the month, um, Lilith and Persephone enter Gemini, and they have a square with Venus. That's by the end of July. And it's Black Moon Lilith, and Persephone. I think I've spoken about Lilith before. They're both the dark feminine, and it feels like there's more depths to find in Venus. Things that we need to work with to really to access the full depth of our love. We're being asked to look at maybe I'm going to go with like envy, jealousy, and maybe places of shame around love and relationship. We might be asked to look back at the way we've acted in relationship, the way we've shown our love. If there's different ways to show love, there feels like there's this depth that we're being asked to find by the end of the month and after that conjunction. So lots of really, really interesting relationship stuff that I can see coming up. In terms of the moon, we have a new moon in Cancer and a full moon in Aquarius. As I said, the sun enters Leo. That's kind of the bigger picture of the month. And in the first week now is that Mars square. So this is the bit that we're going to start off with. It's going to be a little bit more of a battling energy. Just know that whatever comes up is for your best interest. So whatever, whether there's arguments, whether there's tussle, whether there's internal conflict, it's all for you. It's serving you. So just working towards the week, knowing that maybe some questions to have in your mind is, what's your fighting style? And what do you fight to win, or are you trying to get somewhere with that fight? Have a look at how you do argument. What's your relationship to your anger? What's your relationship to beginning things and initiating things? This is all that kind of Mars energy. And with those two, Saturn and Uranus, we're being really asked to look at that place of how we initiate and how we stir up trouble. That's what I'm going to go with. So I also picked a card for the whole month. The Hunter was how we were going to begin the month. And the card I picked, it's actually from it's a Sacred Rebel deck. And the card is quite beautiful. It is a beautiful message, I think, for the whole month. And that is, what you want wants you. So there is this beautiful magnetic energy between your desires and the desires finding you or wanting you. They're there and they're seeking you just as much as you're seeking them. So the very knowledge of that can help you or us just let go of what it is that we seek, so that it can find its way to us with a lot more ease. I think that's it for me, Fee. I'll just bring us back onto the screen.
That was beautiful, beautiful messages there. I love the bit about the question you raised around what are you fighting for? And, you know, that's such a beautiful question to go into inner inquiry with, I think, particularly with these energies this month. And, you know, and I think as well, it kind of correlates with the numerology around that, you know, that 8 energy and being really conscious around the planet and what are we fighting for around that. I think that's a great question to sort of go in. Slightly nervous about the going into battle in relationships. I'm slightly nervous and excited with joy to see what that brings up personally. But I love the reflection around you know, it's almost, I mean, and the visual that I was getting as you were talking about these different influences was everything being put in a bag and shaken up. And then when you tip it all out again, it makes so much more sense. You know, it just all fits together somehow. So it feels like whilst we're going through that kind of, we need to go through that to get the clarity and get the direction forward. So, you know, that in itself is a powerful way to look at it, I think. But beautiful. I love it. I have a question for you though. I
Yes.
don't know, I have put you on the spot a little bit here, but it's something I'm curious about because, you know, as you know, the astrology side of things is like a sort of a bit boggling for me personally. Whilst I love to hear about it, I have no idea how you learn all of that stuff. There's so much there to learn. But my question is really one of sort of personal interest in these influences that you bring through and how you talk about them. Do you think that you're more influenced by them when you know that they're there than you are when you don't know about them, because you're really aware of them and I'm not? And I know sometimes we have conversations and I go, oh yeah, well that's exactly why I'm feeling like this, so it gives me a reason for it. But I wonder if it influences you more because you know about them, because you're kind of prepared for them.
Uh, Look, I mean, these energies are huge energies. So they're obviously at work on us all, regardless. I mean, this square that's happening all year that I keep talking about, I bring it up all the time because it's such a big energy that's affecting the world, and we can see it playing out in our, you know, in our powers that be, and you know, every part of the world at the moment is just in this earthquake, really. I think knowing more about it brings an awareness of how to move through it with a little bit more grace, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, Certainly, I mean, as you'd know, you know, with any type of energies, you can always we can do with them what we want. You know, they're there, but they're there to be they're there to help us in a way. It's not like, you know, oh my God, you know, I know that a lot of people have, for instance, this attitude around when Mercury goes into retrograde. And it doesn't need to be that such a bad thing. We can look at it in a positive way and just see it as a period of looking back at what needs to be seen and maybe done in a different way. So I think it's just awareness, Fee. I think the energies affect us all, but knowing about them gives clarity as to how to move through them with more grace.
Mm, sure. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that so beautifully for me.
I mean, it's like anything really. It's a tool. It's like the
Yeah.
cards or the numerology. It's just another way of gaining some insight into what we're moving through, really.
Yeah, and I think as with all spiritual tools, as you say, we use them as we will personally at a personal level. You know, it's um, how we allow it to influence. What we should never do, I think, is give our free will and choice over to those things and just live rigidly by them. But it's more about just feeling into them, you know, knowing that they're there, knowing that they're coming, feeling into them, and bringing that back into yourself, and asking yourself, how's that working for me in this moment? You know, what's that bringing up for me at this time personally?
Absolutely. And there is that piece around power. We have the power to do with these whatever we want, you know. And I think with, in a way, religions, or the way that religions were, is that they made God outside of yourself. So there's something about that it just takes away all of your power
Mhm.
by saying it's happening to us. And um, I think what's really important right now is to bring all that power back into ourselves and know that we have the ability to change all of this, to use these energies for ourselves and for the planet in whatever way we choose.
Oh, exactly. I totally agree. And that, I mean, that whole journey into holding ourselves, you know, in our own power, holding ourselves accountable and using our power in that heartfelt way. It's also about responsibility and what we choose to do and how responsible we are with that power, because it, you know, the two go hand in hand. So yeah, you know, there's so much. I think this month is going to be really interesting. There's lots of messages around, you know, bringing the joy back in and the light, and moving through. I feel like we're all going to move through this month in a slightly lighter way, even though there are still some big themes that we're working through. It's all, I mean, I can already feel that energetically I've shifted a little bit around that, with that knowledge, and into a kind of lighter place with it all. Not that, you know, there's anything wrong with it being heavier, or, you know, when we need to go into those heavier energies, that's fine. But it does feel like there's a shift coming with this new energy, which I'm kind of looking forward to exploring it and seeing how it plays out for everyone.
I totally agree with you. I know that you brought into your reading about how we're at the halfway point, and it does kind of feel like we traveled down and now we've turned and we're traveling back up. So there is a
Yeah.
sense of it lifting or lightness coming into the year, which I love. It does feel a little bit lighter while we're still
Mm.
working on big themes. It feels like we've crossed this threshold into some new realm.
Yes. It'll be exciting to see what that is.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Oh,
That's us for the next week. We'll see you
yeah.
again in 7 days.
Yep. Have a good week.